Hi everyone, Chris here from the Sounds of Stadia channel, and I'm here today to showcase to you my first quick look at the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller compared to the Google Stadia Premier Edition. Both in white, very exciting stuff. I'm fortunate enough here in the UK to have been sent this early, however I'm not fortunate enough to have received the console yet. So this is a genuine first look at just the controllers side by side. So let's have a look, shall we? So, first things first, let's talk about how they look. Straight off the bat, they both look like controllers. There's nothing massively to distinguish between the two of them. Obviously, the PlayStation 5 DualSense, very different design from Sony this time round. A little bit bigger, a little bit heftier, with this kind of multi-tone black versus white on there as well. First quick impressions, it feels comfortable in the hand. Really easy to hold. Obviously, they have made a point of talking quite a lot about these adaptive triggers that you can see on there. Until the system arrives and I can plug it in, unfortunately don't get to test that resistance quite out just yet. I have checked it with Stadia. The controller doesn't pair, unfortunately, either via Bluetooth or via cable just yet. I'm expecting there to be an update for this going forward, as there is going to be a lot of these in the wild. Stacked side by side with our traditional Stadia Premier Edition we've got here then. Controller feels a little bit softer around the handles in comparison, because the PlayStation 5 DualSense goes for this kind of more rough split edge where you do have two contrasting materials. I also did notice the base. It's interesting enough, the PlayStation controller has the base kind of chopped off at the end. It's not actually a smooth curved finish which we know the Stadia controller has. So we can see there you've got that lovely smoothed rounded off finish all the way around. Smoother to touch, I guess. When your hand's in that position you're not really touching the base of the controller. Overall though, like I said, just a quick look at a controller. In terms of the triggers, let's have a look. Let's compare those triggers. Nice little tick. I always like to do that. Apologies to any audio listeners unless you prefer that ASMR kind of style. Analog sticks click in, exactly the same. D-pad triggers. I will say the Stadia triggers, the way they are smoothed off on the edge, does seem to have more of a kind of convex shape to them, which makes it a little bit easier, I think, to flick on. However, the DualSense ones do have a little bit more texture, so whether that's for better or for worse, I guess we'll find out when my PlayStation 5 arrives. The actual thumbsticks themselves both seem to function exactly like thumbsticks. Again, Stadia opting for that smooth edge as opposed to the PlayStation 5 one, which is a bit more textured. Again, long-term gaming, anyone who gets those sweaty hand moments, I suppose the textured part's a little bit better for that. Again, throw it back to the Premier Edition shadow for these inbound colours that we've got on there. Very nice, adds that little bit of flair, that little bit of edge to it. I will say the white on the PlayStation 5 DualSense, compared to the Stadia one, not as white. It's almost got like a dulled grey finish to it. I guess that may be beneficial long term. We will find out, those grubby mitts. In terms of the rest of the controller, then let's have a look at it. PlayStation D-pad, very soft to the touch, not as actual like clicky as you would expect from a traditional PlayStation controller. Whereas we all know the D-pad on the Stadia, you can sometimes hear me on stream pressing the buttons. Very rigid, very clicky, which I guess is kind of down to you whether you like that or not. It's each their own, preference-wise. Same goes for the face keys. A little bit more softer to the touch than tradition. Obviously, Sony getting rid of the coloured sacred symbols on there, opting more for the monochromatic look. And PlayStation always do that, they mix it up. If you look at some of their coloured edition ones, they very much ditch the colour palette anyway. Back to the Stadia one, we've got that solid click on there. Nice and straightforward, the buttons. Again, when you're playing the game, it's hard to really notice the difference. I know sometimes if you're playing late at night when you're trying to be quiet, I guess the click of the Stadia one can sometimes be a bit apparent. But overall, size-wise, comparison-wise, not too different. It's going to feel great, I'm sure. They both do have built-in microphones on the base. We know PlayStation made a deal about that, but we also know the Google Assistant can do that because you can say commands through your Stadia controller. Overall though, let's have a quick comparison. So the Stadia one, we've got that. Let's bring in another one just for comparison's sake. There is the old DualShock 4 controller. obviously without those haptic feedbacks. A little bit smaller than Stadia. Traditional colour keys there. Almost actually again a little bit of an offset white. I didn't realise that beforehand. I've never really sat down and compared my controllers as in depth as this. Overall though, looks very sharp. Comparison, probably prefer the Stadia controller on this front to that one, to the DualShock. Now I've had many muths with the Stadia controller. And let's throw in for argument's sake as well, let's get that Xbox One in there. Not the latest Xbox One, very much this is just a custom request one. Obviously slightly different colour keys. The offset keys being the biggest difference between all 4 of these controllers. Triggers a lot more concaved on the back too. Got that traditional click on the D-pad and such. But yeah, that is compared to an Xbox One, but that's not what you're here for. You are here for the DualSense controller paired with the magic of the Stadia Premier Edition in white. We're hoping probably to see a few more colours coming out as we reach Stadia's birthday on the 19th of November, but I guess we'll have to keep waiting to find out, just like I have to keep waiting to use this DualSense 5. Maybe Stadia even update their settings behind the scenes so I can play with this before the launch of the PlayStation 5 here in the UK. But I'm sure we'll have more comparison videos going forward in the future. But that is my first look at the PlayStation 5 DualSense compared with the Google Stadia Premier Edition in white. Don't forget, myself, Chris, and my lovely 2 co-hosts, Tom and Richie, do bring you a Stadia podcast, the Sounds of Stadia podcast, in fact, every Monday. So like, subscribe, check that out, and stay tuned for more comparison videos in the future. Take care and have a good week in gaming. Goodbye.